Hi, Algebra 1. This is going to be on page 39 in your yellow book. And you have a table that looks like this. You got 2, 5, 8, 11, and 14. And then next to it, you have the graph. And so I'm not going to make it perfect, but basically they're showing a graph that's doing this. Okay, and the dots match up to these. Okay, so it says the same sequence is shown on both the table and the graph. Indicate on the table where you see the rate of change. So the rate of change is basically, you're talking about this to this. We're going to start referring this to as rate of change. So I go vertically first and then horizontally. So rate of change. So you go vertical, then you go to horizontal. Okay. Now, if you look at the next graph, number 2 down below, so you have this that's taking place. So I go vertical first, which is going down in this case. So you have your rate of change on both of those. That's both doing the same. Okay, so rate of change is something that we're going to be focusing on. If you continue to look on page 40 of your yellow book, it again has your XY axis, and you have some dots that are doing this. So rate of change down, right, down, right, down, right. And then number 4 on that same page. And again, we're just kind of looking at, so this one we're going to go upright, 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 upright. So rate of change, for right now, you can do one of two things. You can go up and right or down and right. Notice the right is always the same thing. Okay, so let's take a look at this down below on the page 40. We have these numbers. Okay, it says the directions on this on the bottom of page 40 says, in the next problems, you are given various types of information. They want you to write the recursive and the explicit function for each of the geometric sequence and also graph. Okay, so they only gave us this. Okay, should we start with 0 and then the first iteration, the second and the third? Or should we start this with b and 1? Well, let's start with 0 and see what happens. It looks like each of these is being multiplied by 2. So remember, when we're multiplying, that has to be geometric. Remember that? So let's figure out our actual equation. So I'm going to take 0, 2, and I'm going to take this 2 here. So I'm going to go f at n is equal to this 2, and then this 2 raised to the n. Okay, it's just coincidental that both happen to be the same 2's. But let's graph and see what happens here. So if I grab 0, 2, it's right there. And then I have 1, 4. Then I have 2, 8. And then 3, 16 is going to be way up here. So notice there's a few things that are taking place here. There's a rate of change here, but there's a different rate of change here. The ones that we were looking at before, all of those rate of changes were before. If I just go back and take a look, they're doing the same rate of change. The vertical doesn't change. But notice on this one that we just did, the vertical's changing. It's bigger. You know, if I go all the way to here, it becomes larger. Take a look at page 41 on the yellow book. It says that Claire has 300 in account. She is going to take out half of what's left in there at the end of each month. Okay, so she has $300 in an account. This is problem number 6 on the top of page 41. She's going to take out half. Okay, so think about what's taking place. At 0, she has $300. One day into it, or a month later, another month later, third month later, I don't even know what that is. That's 75 over 2. Okay, which we could make a decimal. Let's see, that's going to be 337.5, etc. So if we were to try and graph this, we're going to be at 0, 300. So 0, 300 is way up there. And then after the first month, we're at 150. And then the second month, we're at 75. And then the third month, we're at 337.5. Oh my gosh. So notice the rate of changes is going down. Vertically, it's changing. It's not the same vertical component. It's the same going right. So because this is multiplying by half, this means it has to be geometric. Okay. So our recursive function is last times half. So this is our recursive function. And our explicit function is going to be the original 300. So f at n equals 300 times half raised to the n. Let's go back. I forgot to write. This one would have been, our explicit function. Our recursive would have been last times 2. Let's take a look at number 7. So notice it says day 1, day 2, day 3. So day 1 we have 6, day 2 we have 12, day 3 we have 24. So this was times 2 each time. So what would it be at day 0 if I was going from here to here times 2? What would this one be? Right, it would be 3. And I think it's important that we know this one. Okay, so and this times 2 as well. So our recursive will be last times 2. Our explicit is going to be f at n. I'm going to take this 3 times 2 raised to the n. Let's see if that's going to work. If I start plugging my things in, yep, this will work. If I plug 0 in, I get 3. Plug 1 in, I get 6. I plug 2 in, I get 12. And let's take a look at our graph. So 0, 3, 1, 6, 2, 12, 3, 24. It's way, way up here. So notice the vertical distance, it still goes right 1, but the vertical distance is much different. Go ahead and change over to page 42. Page 42 in the yellow book. It says use the middle column in each table to write the process and the number of patterns. Okay, so we have n, and over here we have f at n, then we have some process. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And over here we have 3, 6, 12, 24. I think the process here is this is the original, but we're going to go times 2, times 2, times 2. So this is the original, and then times 2 each time. That's the same on each of those, times 2. So our recursive, because we are growing like this, let's go back and figure out what the 0 would be. Actually, let's not. Let's start with here. Let's go 0, 3. So it's going to be, our recursive is going to be last times 2. Our explicit, we're going to go f at n is equal to our very first term, which is 3, times our common ratio, which is 2. I'm going to raise that to the 1. Now, let's be very, very careful here and change colors. If I were to take this 1 and plug it in right here, this would come out to 6. So on this type of case, because I didn't have that 0 term, I'm going to put n minus 1 there. This becomes my explicit function. Okay, notice that n minus 1. Because I didn't start with this being a 0, and I didn't work backwards to find the 0 term, I have to put that n minus 1. Let's take a look at number 9. We have n, we have f at n, and then we have the process. We have 2, 3, 4. So then I have 9, 27, 81, 243. So these are all being multiplied by 3. So times 3. So this is our original. And then times 3. That's all the same all the way down. Okay. So our recursive will be last times 3. Our explicit, because I'm not going to work backwards, is going to be f at n is equal to this 9, because that was my very first term, this times 3 raises the n. Now remember on the last one, let's look back at the last one. This was a 1 here that I started with, so I did n minus 1. Look at this one. It starts at 2. So what should I do with this up here? Right, subtract 2. Oh, that's a big thing to see there, my friends. Big thing to see there. So if I plug 2 in, 2 minus 2 is 0, 3 to the 0 is 1, 9 times 1, that works. Okay, so notice sometimes when I gave you a later place in the sequence that you're going to be having a subtraction or maybe an addition concept to it. Okay, last thing, I'm just going to do, this is on page 43 of your yellow book. It's number 10. I'm going to do one problem and the rest will be for your homework, okay? So we have point C being negative 3, 0, and point D is 0, 5. So I'm going to put this on an XY axis. So I get 3, 0. That's C. And the other one is going to be 0, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's D. All right. So what we're going to do is let's count down. Let's count down. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I went down 5, so I'm going to go minus 5. And write 1, 2, 3. So we're going to introduce a term called the slope. And in math, slope is the letter M. So we're going to talk what it did vertically. It went down 5 and right 3. And we're done. So would you go ahead and take the time and finish page 43 and 44 for the homework. When it asks for the equation, hold off on that. Just find the slope. Yeah, just find the slope of each equation. Let's hold off on finding the equation and the b value. So when it says b equals, keep it blank for now. Don't cross it out. Just keep it blank. And when you see equation, just keep it blank. We will actually take care of that tomorrow, okay? Hope you have a nice day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.